to his tax policy, to what it'll do to people's 401ks. I hope I'm being clear. When you raise taxes on Microsoft stock is worth one thing. If you raise taxes on Microsoft, the same stock is worth less. Same employees, same software, same buildings, but a more heavily taxed Microsoft corporation isn't worth as much if you sell it. Just as if they came to your house at home and raised the property tax $1,000 a year. You couldn't sell your house for as much, same house, same place, same location, same materials, but $1,000 a year higher property tax makes the value of your house worth less. You can't sell it for as much because they have to figure out, I got to pay that $1,000 a year. Same thing happens with companies. The most important tax policy is not so much supply side economics as the wealth effect of taxing. When you tax things, you make the value, the underlying value of the company, the land, the building, worth less. Yes?
One more question.
Oh, well, let's do this. I'm going to take all the questions and I'll answer them once quickly.
I noticed that the #2 contributor Obama was Wall Street, and I think what we're really seeing here, these are the highly educated guys out of Harvard and Yale and etc. And the real finger points at what our education system is implanting in this young 40-ish generation, last 2 generations of educated people coming out of these Ivy League schools have been so indoctrinated with the left that we've got a problem.
Good point. Yes? Mike.
You seem much more confident that the next Republican nominee will be more of a Reagan-style conservative than what we went through this time. But if I look at the front runners like Mitt Romney, who supported increased farm support, healthcare plan in Massachusetts that the left is the one that Obama supports, wanted to give every child in America a laptop computer by the federal government, things of that nature. Implementing that the era of small government is over, supports universal health care in the state, cigarette tax increase, things of that nature. How do you ensure that the next Republican actually isn't one of these big government conservatives, is someone who believes in the leave us alone?
Okay. Yep.
What is your assessment of the fair tax plan?
Okay. Pam?
Thank you. Jim Handy from Tucson, Montana. Taxing wealth decreases value. So my question is, you kind of interrupted yourself, Robert. What's the teaching moment that Obama will have?
When his tax increases are enacted. Yeah.
When you talked about those checks on local governments that are, do they include in that personnel, individual payment to employees? And then secondly, do they change, do they show you, like for patrolmen that go out and do the work, vis-a-vis the administrative offices of the county administrator and how that goes up and down?
Okay. Yep.
How do you feel about privatization of government services to improve the efficacies of government services?
Okay.
It appears to me that probably the biggest tax increase we're going to be getting is probably a cap and trade situation where the government is selling the carbon credits, and I was just wondering if you would use that to pay for most of his programs rather than addressing the income tax.
Yeah.
What do you say to pro-choice conservatives and gay conservatives when you say government leave me alone?
Okay. Start with Wall Street. Well, the guys in Wall Street are smart enough that when they had problems, they're getting $700 billion of our dollars being given to them. But it is odd that they tend to vote or supported Obama, although I'll tell you, I met with those guys and said to them, Obama wants to raise the capital gains tax to 28%. This was when it was in the primaries, and he was saying this, and it was on his website, and they'd look you in the eye and say, he'd never do that, that would be crazy. So don't underestimate, a lot of people don't pay a lot of attention to politics, and they vote these impulses of I don't like them, or I do like these people, and not, I wish they all looked at the tax policies and how it will affect them. They will on the rebound, which gets that question of, now, as soon as the tax hits, they go, oh, he meant that, and that was real. On the Republicans running, I think if you look at, there are two parts. One is we need to be able to go to somebody who runs in the Northeast and has to be more left of center in the Northeast and say, if you want to run nationally, we will accept your movement towards the center, as the left has done. I mean, the left would allow some of your senators here who have pretended to be more moderate than they are. If they were to run nationally, they would accept that they were lying earlier on and shifting over. The left, the Democrats put 30 or 40 Democrat House guys in saying they were pro-life and pro-gun and going to be reasonable on a number of things. So they run guys. I'm in favor of running people at the local level, in the House, the Senate, governorship, as conservative as you can win in that district is what you want. If we can only get, you can get a 70% guy in some districts and a 100% guy in some districts, I'll take the 70% person in the moderate district. What I don't want is 70%ers in 100% districts. And unfortunately, we've too often had that. And why are we going to do it? Because I intend to make sure that it works out. I mean, it's a lot of work. This does not fall into place. We will make this happen. On the fair tax, this is replacing the income tax with a retail sales tax. Economists will tell you taxing consumed income but not savings, or taxing consumption when you buy things is the same thing. The challenge is, if you're 20 years old, who cares? You're 65. You've spent all your life paying your income tax. Have I got a deal for you? We're now going to get rid of the income tax. Okay? Now what? And we're going to have a 20 or 30% tax on everything you buy from now on that didn't exist earlier. Now, people over 65 tend to vote more than people under 65. The transition to a fair tax is devastating to older people. Again, the next generation wouldn't matter. 20-year-old wouldn't matter. The sticking point politically is the transition there. And as McCain found out when he was for cutting some taxes and raising others, Obama ran ads saying, look, he wants to raise taxes. They did this to DeMint. They almost beat Senator DeMint, one of the most solid conservative free market guys in the Senate. He was for a fair tax. They ran ads, $2 million worth. He wants to have a 23% sales tax on everything you buy.
They did it to Conrad Burns here too.
Didn't mention that he wanted to abolish the income tax, just talked about the other. So getting from here to there politically, I'm open to conversations on how you do it. But right now, for a politician to pick that up is to pick up a poison pill and hurt themselves. And I did not know that they'd done it to Conrad, but they've done it to other senators and congressmen in other places. Yes, all payroll and who the person is and what the job is would be up there, and I think people would be able to make the distinction between what kind of jobs. But you just, so that people can see all the salaries, then they can have some sense as to what. Look, anything that's already public information would be up there. Every once in a while, if you have some super secret spy who's inside the mafia, you don't put his name, address, and home address up with his payroll up there, okay? But so stuff that's secret would stay secret. But the patrolman on the beat or the librarian, that would be up there because it's paid for with taxpayer money. Yeah, we should privatize as much stuff as we can because it's easier to fire private companies that are contracted with than to deal with unionized government workers if they're not working out. This is why FedEx and UPS work better than the post office. Cap and trade is backdoor massive tax increase. That is a huge, huge challenge and problem, and we need to focus on the fact that it is a massive tax increase. And the worst part is it's a tax increase tough to get rid of. If you had a carbon tax that everybody saw, they'd say, this carbon tax stinks, let's get rid of it. But cap and trade, the local utility spends $1 billion to buy the right to have carbon, and then you come back and say, this cap and trade, that was stupid, we're going to get rid of that. The guy, I have a $1 billion IOU here that's now worth nothing. I lobbied to keep this stupid thing going because I invested in it. It's like what happened with the, when you would pay for the right to grow peanuts or pay for a cab, the people who in New York who paid $100,000 for a cab permit to drive a cab, they would never be in favor of letting